Live now to the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, speaking in Melbourne in the wake of, well, I suppose, the budget and the budget in reply. Let's have a listen in.
It's a means to an end, and that end is to guarantee the essential services of health and education and disability support and aged care, but it's also a means to an end of providing the cities that we live in, the regions that we live in, with the best possible infrastructure. And so in this budget, we announced $4 billion for our congestion fund, and that is going to be absolutely critical to ease the pressures on people living in our cities and our regions. And a component of that is a $500 million car park fund, car commuter fund. And this is the first project under this fund. So I think it's going to be really important. It's going to create more car parks here so people don't have to drive all the way into work. It'll take cars off the road, thousands of cars off the road, and importantly will give people the peace of mind that when they catch the train to work, they can put their car here and that they don't have to drive all the way into work. So it's a great announcement. It's a real credit to Jason and his advocacy, and to Alan, who's behind this program. Alan?
Well, thanks, Treasurer and Jason. Today we're announcing $15 million, which is the first project which we are funding out of the new $500 million commuter car park fund. Now that fund will finance up to 50 stations, up to 50 car parks, and take more than 25,000 cars off the road. Now that's real congestion-busting infrastructure. We know that people want to be able to take the train, and we support their choice. But to do so, they need to be able to find a car park readily. And if they find the car park readily, they can get onto that, jump on the train and get into work quickly and back home at night quickly, cheaply and safely. And that's what we want to do. This $500 million is part of a broader $4 billion urban congestion fund, and that is part of a massive $100 billion infrastructure program which we are rolling out over the next decade, the largest in Australia's history. Of course, we've announced $6.2 billion more for Victoria alone, and that is going towards our growth corridors. It's going towards things like the airport rail, to fast rail to Geelong, to sealing the Dandenong Ranges, and of course also projects like this one. We want to bust congestion with the major corridor upgrades. We want to bust congestion by fixing those local intersections which cause people so much grief. But we also want to bust congestion by providing commuter car parks which people can get to and then jump on the train, get to work quickly, get home safely at night. I want to thank Jason for his advocacy of this project, along with the local Casey Council, who has been a very strong advocate of this project as well. I was just speaking to someone this morning, and they were saying that this car park was full when they had arrived at 8 minutes past 6 in the morning. And we want to add up to 500 new car parks here so that people can get on the train quickly, get to work, get back home safely at night. We're happy to take any questions.
Any questions about the infrastructure? Okay. Just underline what Alan said and what Jason has been saying. $100 billion set out in this budget for our 10-year infrastructure plan. Importantly for the people of Victoria, they're going to see fast rail, which is going to bust the congestion in the city. It's going to unlock the potential of the regions. We're getting the Melbourne Airport rail link, and we're getting practical projects that make a difference to people's lives, like here at Berwick Station.
On another note, why is the government fudging a decision on the environmental approval of the Adani coal mine?
Well, clearly, as I said yesterday, the government is going through the proper statutory process. The Minister is talking to the scientists, and you have to bear in mind that when it comes to the Adani project, the major approvals have already been given. And there were 180 rigorous environmental conditions attached. These are now a set of sub-approvals that are going through the normal process.
And what do you, on another note as well, what do you say to Queensland colleagues of yours who want Melissa Price to quit unless she signs the environment?
Look, Melissa Price is going through the proper process. working with the scientists, taking the best possible advice. And of course, this is again the Adani project is one where the major approvals have been given and it's now going through the sub-approvals.
And what's the difference between government and Labor Party on policy towards electric?
Sorry?
What's the difference between government and Labor Party on policy towards electric vehicles?
Well, the Labor Party is talking about their 50% target by 2030, bearing in mind that only 0.2% of new car sales are electric vehicles, and 19 out of 23 electric vehicles on offer are above $60,000. So it's out of the reach of a number of Australians. And as the Prime Minister has said earlier today, if people buy an electric vehicle, then that is a personal choice that they make. But Bill Shorten wants to take these choices out of the hands of the Australian people. We have, when it comes to our energy and climate policy, a considered plan. Bill Shorten has an uncosted, unfunded plan. He's into virtue signalling and he's not into reducing people's power prices, and he's in the cost of living.
Treasurer, you're here campaigning out of Melbourne. The Prime Minister's campaigning up in Queensland. But we're not actually in an election. When are we going to have one?
Well, of course, the election will soon be upon us, and the speculation in the media in recent weeks has been on 3 dates: 11th, 18th, and the 25th. And of course, it's going to be, it's going to be a decision for the Prime Minister as to the exact date. But we've just released the economic plan for Australia that sets us up for the next decade, and that is the budget. And in the budget, there are nearly some 700 different measures. Not only is there the fiscal story, which is the surplus, but there's also the story around the tax cuts that will see $1,080 into the hands of millions of Australians from 13 weeks' time when they put in their next tax return. And if you're a teacher and a tradie, each earning $50,000 or $60,000 in the electorate of Latrobe, you'll get $2,160 in your pocket in 13 weeks' time. That is money that will go to your monthly mortgage. That is money that will go to your quarterly energy bill. That is money that will go to your yearly car insurance premium. So these policies, whether it's tax, whether it's a $500 million skills package creating 80,000 new apprentices, or whether it's the $100 billion infrastructure plan or our health and education policies and initiatives, these need to be explained and outlined to the Australian people. That is what we're doing, and we'll continue to do it in the weeks and the months ahead.
So you haven't received a poll bump, it doesn't look like, from the budget. You're out selling the budget now. How do you feel it's going over in the electorate?
Well, as you know, there's only one poll that counts, and that's election day. And our focus is on the Australian people. It's not about us, it's about the Australian people. That's who is driving our policy agenda. That is who is behind the budget. What is best for the Australian people? And this budget creates a stronger economy and a secure future for all Australians, including people here in Latrobe. They are going to benefit greatly from the tax cuts, from the infrastructure spending, from the new positions for apprentices, and of course for the record spending on hospitals and schools and roads and aged care and disability support.
Do you have a figure yet for how much the government will be spending on advertising this week when we could be in an election?
Well, what I'll tell you is we will not do what the Labor Party did back in 2013, and that is spend taxpayers' money through the caretaker period on government advertising. What we are doing is sticking to what is the usual process for governments, which is to communicate their messages about their energy plan, about their tax policies, about online safety for our kids, and a whole series of other measures that we continue to communicate to the Australian people. The Labor Party spent, $500 million on advertising when they were last in government, including $100,000 on 3 fake kitchens to sell their carbon tax. Well, they would have been better off providing that $100,000 and building real kitchens that made a difference to real people, not their silly taxes.
We are effectively in an election.
Josh Frydenberg speaking there in Melbourne, the Treasurer. I think it's on our Sky News Extra channels, so